more recent at the Mexico Major. Let's see if they're still in good straits here at the NAL now that they've got their true fifth back, or if there truly are some more issues looming for TSM if they struggle here today.
Well, it all starts with this ban phase, my friend. It's a good thing you're bringing up SI points as well, because both of these teams on the precipice of actually making it to SI. Oxygen more so, especially with their Stage 1 victory, and like we've been talking about in the preamble. Stage 2 definitely did not go the way of Oxygen, especially in the way that they wanted it to. So Stage 3, this is the time for them to have a difference maker and try and make it to the ever so infamous SI and try and lift a hammer. But now we're getting in through the ban phase here, folks. Hibana and Thatcher going to both be removed here for Clubhouse to start us off with the attack inside.
Nothing super surprising. That will continue on to the defense as well. Mir will be the next to be removed here. And finally, we'll have one last defender to be knocked out. It's going to be a choice from TSM, and they will choose to remove Valkyrie. So pretty much as typical as we can get for the most part here on the Clubhouse bans. Nothing too surprising coming out there.
Yeah, very, very straightforward. I think the only one that people might be, they wouldn't even be shocked by it, really. It's just the Hibana band coming in here.
That's
but
more
she's
of a personal
the hatch
choice.
Queen, right? Yeah. She's just a hatch queen, man. It's very difficult to try and keep those hatches locked up when she's on the board. And with that removed now, this is going to open the door to things like impact tricking, as well as like Kaid getting played and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. Could definitely be interesting, especially with the offensive lineups. More than likely, a lot of ace coming in here as well, especially with the recent changes to the AK-12. It's a little bit easier to control now, which obviously everyone knows that was not a problem before for professional players. So it's just made their life even easier than it was before.
As we get into the very first round here, going to be talking about some more of the individuals on Oxygen and some of the things I'll be paying attention to in the midst of this game, most notably going to be those new members, or new-ish, I guess we could say now, members that came in at the beginning of this year. There were some smaller inconsistency issues that contributed to the problems for OXG in Stage 2 after the kind of, what I like to call the honeymoon phase, and Stage 1 came to a bit of a close there. So I'm curious to see if that's going to continue in today's matchup, or if possibly things have improved in the offseason. Not only that, but in very pivotal roles, players like on the defense, Laxing doing his roam game, as well as Foxe here will be very important to pay attention to if they're consistently getting shut down on a round-to-round basis. We are seeing teams do quite often in Stage 2. That is also could be a sign of trouble for OXG. So let's see exactly how things start out for them on the attack first.
Absolutely. And speaking of roam games, TSM is going to be pulling one of those, and it's going to be from the basement here. Traditional setup as we would assume with the operator lineup, all except for Rooney working away in here, but Gio with these gates could do some very, very cool things around these hatches and other areas that they want to try and circumvent the offense from getting a hold of. Obviously, this is going to be all to delay time and try and get some picks off from OXG. So let's see how they want to go about this clear. For TSM, they have some very strong positioning here, especially with Gio inside of stock. Could be a pretty interesting angle for him to take up, especially with Bolo position around main stairs. It's going to be a difficult position for OXG to try and deal with, simply because of the stairwell as well as him just being vigil. Constantly having to try and track him down with that ERC-7 backpack is definitely going to be annoying.
Oxygen definitely with a good handle on the situation, not getting tripped up by these earlier extensions from TSM here. At the same time, though, TSM not necessarily giving those positions up willingly to the attack from OXG, even though they seem to be very well aware of it. You can see Merc even taking a bit of damage. I don't know how attached to this roam Merc was. Regardless, he's gone down lower. Foxe, some unfortunate timing here, but he's able to adjust. Is he actually? Yes, just barely, but regardless, TSM tear apart two members of OXG as they suddenly leap into the site. Yogg interrupts his plan in the very final milliseconds there to try and pick up a kill. It's successful and may have well secured them the round, as all that's suddenly left is achieved in a 1vx. Achieved down Yogg, and another one, but suddenly Laxing comes in from the backside to save the day and to save the round as the first one goes over to OXG.
Laxing very fortunate to be in that position because it was looking very gloomy there for just a split second, but Oxygen able to pull it back across the line. TSM lackluster clear there, not really knowing what's going on in the garage area. Foxe is able to slip in through the cracks, gets down into oil pit, ends up playing spoils for that situation, distracts TSM just long enough. Oxygen have quite a few plant attempts down low. Obviously, TSM trying to come back with a couple of different fights. We saw that very nice shot from Yaga in through the armory wall there for the main hallway. TSM just not able to battle back. Oxygen honestly just doing a bang-up job with the positioning that they were able to muster inside of Kitchen.
Really, really clean attack overall coming out there from OXG. Quick as well, wasting no time once they actually got to the point where they were ready to commit themselves to the aggressive action. And no hesitation once they had actually gone in commit themselves. So TSM have their wits about them here. Thankfully, things will more than likely proceed in a more straightforward fashion as far as they're used to against OXG anyway, going upstairs into the cache as well as CCTV sites here. Let's see how that plays out, though. So OXG looking strong with that first round's performance. Yes, a little close on the trades as it comes down towards the end of it. That's mainly because of the heroics out of the last member from TSM, but still, OXG, leading up to that 3v1, seem to have great control, more importantly, full control over the attacking situation, which is not something we normally say about this team. So hopefully more to come in later rounds.
Yeah, and just to reiterate the point that you made earlier as well, quickly, that's the big thing that stands out there for Oxygen, is that it was very fluid, and that's really what you're looking for in your offense, is you want all of the cogs to be working at the same time and in sync. And that's exactly what that round looked like for OXG. I really hope that we get that recreated across these next handful of offensive rounds, but it's still very early on, only round 1 inside of a 6-round half, so Oxygen still have a very long way to go. We could see some major adjustments here from TSM. Remember, guys, these guys are at full power. This is a team that didn't drop around between 2 maps last stage, so always something to be aware of, and honestly possibly frightful given the circumstances. So we'll see what they can possibly do, but as of right now, not too much action happening around the map. Merc going to be on kind of an extended push out towards Master. Knows that somebody's more than likely going to be working Jacuzzi, but also worried that someone could be on Master balcony as well. But Vertical's actually going to hop to inside of Waits as they're going to try and get some solid positioning onto Merc's location. Nitro Cell out, not going to be able to get too much with it, at least, well, maybe a drone there. Can't even see that. He'll finally be able to take down Laxing, but oh no, this is all of a sudden becoming very problematic for OXG. They've once again lost the plot when it comes to Merc, as he'll be able to slip through the cracks yet again here and get inside a Logi. This is going to delay so much time unless they're allowed to do something about it.
Yeah, speaking of time being delayed right now, Merc is going to continue to do so from the inside of Logi. I believe he has additional support toward construction as well. Merc goes for a second fight closer to the main stairs against the ace player, and he wins it as well. Yogg now down. In addition to the case should be easily retrievable is the good news, but look at this additional pressure that's also beginning to roll in from TSM and other areas of the map they still control, such as construction right now. OXG can no longer even proceed forward in a straightforward fashion. They have to look for alternate routes to get around these extended held positions here now for TSM. Merc is still going to be one of them, as you can see here, getting in the way of the drop from Foxay, and now Merc realizing that, okay, I've got relative clearance. He does spot the drone. He knows that's coming from up on top. He's going to realize there's pressure from that avenue now, but still, tempting fates over by the doorway, regardless of the player looming above him, and he controls the situation beautifully for a quad pickup. Merc absolutely decimating Oxygen down to just a single player, and while yes, he'll get an opening entry, it's quickly traded out by Achieved. It sees TSM take very quick control of the second round.
Don't worry, Merc. I got it for you. Good night, guys. Good night. That was absurd from Merc. That is exactly what TSM was missing when it came to land, John. We did not see that lethality come out from this roster like we know it can. And that right there just proves what we all thought when it came to Mexico. They were missing Merc. You need someone like that on your team that can just take control and just do so much damage that it's basically detrimental to what the other team has going on. Beautiful round there from TSM, but you guys know we have to give it up to Merc.
Yeah, Merc obviously winning that one pretty much single-handedly with the momentum loss that he caused against OXG there, even aside from the quad kill itself. Just the amount of time he wasted and the confidence with which he was able to move out and actually pick up some of these kills was impressive, to say the least, specifically against the Hatch player right there. Peeks out into the Logi angle multiple times, knowing...
He just knew it so well,
yeah,
man. He knew that
there
angle
could very
right
well
there.
be a player shooting him in the back at any moment. And like he knew very well that the player was right there, too. Still was able to control that situation perfectly. Absolutely phenomenal job by Merc inside of specifically Logi, but throughout the rest of that round as well.
And we'll see if they can recreate it here. 1-1. We got the breadsticks on the board. Basically equal playing field here. So we'll see who can possibly get the most of these next 4 rounds. But very equal here in between these squads. TSM are feeling as though the basement defense could work out here for them. This is what we saw inside of round 1. Oxygen, though, with a not necessarily a clear. Honestly, didn't even go for the full clear inside of that instance. Instead, what they did is they played for kitchen control. They were able to get the Hatch and then also slink Foxay in through Oil Pit. He got shot downstairs in towards blue. It was able to handle the rotation from TSM coming back into sight. They distracted TSM long enough to attempt some plant attempts. TSM did a last-ditch Hail Mary to try and get into the wall. And, well, obviously, Yaga able to take that down, get the plant down, and Oxygen with a round on the board. So we'll see if TSM can possibly make a stance on this top floor or be just a little bit more distracting to what OXG want to do with their offense.
Yeah, they did that obviously flawlessly in the previous round. We'll see if they're going to be able to repeat the same overall theming of play with the same amount of success here. Foxy obviously getting a little bit nervous about popping open the hatch entirely, leading on to balcony just due to the fact that someone from TSM is right on the other side and is beginning to lurk over towards the stock door too. So a lot more things need to be checked by OXG. TSM is bringing an incredibly in-your-face performance to the table here for the defense. So far seems to be working out okay, but as we saw in the first round, it can go badly as well. So TSM need to be careful about how over-aggressive they can potentially get in these situations if they give too much away. Obviously, OXG are just going to start to pick up kills left and right, and we'll be left with the opposite problem we had in the previous round, where it's the attackers bleeding out far too much of the defender player count to really accomplish anything realistic.
Well, as it seems right now, this looks like the preferred way that TSM wants Oxygen to clear this out. You can see the whole setup up top, as well as the separate angles being held down low to make sure that these players are safe from that vertical angle that can possibly be worked. But as of right now, possibly have some answers to this. Nitro Cell out, doesn't get the sledge. It will. Perfectly tossed from Achieved. He'll take down Vert. And as I was saying before, this looks like the way that they want them to push in. Luckily enough, though, Yaga's here to take down at least one TSM member. Merc will get down as well. And OXG actually able to handle this top hold. Bolo not able to get anything done from his positioning on main stairs. Instead, he's going to abandon ship, let both of those TSM members die, and go back to play site. But they've delayed plenty of time here. 2 minutes off the board. OXG only having 50 seconds remaining with their 4-man squad to get this done.
Still have to try and open up the kitchen hatch as well. Looking at the attack utility right now, they definitely still have enough in regards to it in terms of amount to get it done. Probably going to be some tricking going on though to try to get into the way of that. We'll see how successful that'll be in just a moment. Here's Bolo's the one to do the job. Bolo has his own problems to worry about, and it starts now. Kino from up on top trying to get the frag against him and nearly does it, but instead Bolo nearly returns that damage and huge dividends against Kino. At the same time, away from that, one more kill will be picked up by OXG not going to be able to pick themselves up. A kill, one found by TSM against OXG. So that's going to bring the numbers down to an even 3v3 as we come to the final 15 seconds here, where Octa's not going to have much of a choice but to drop it. Foxy does sneak in. A 1-for-1 exchange follows it, leaving us with Chala in control of the site. Drops one of the more pivotal players and leaves the last one far too out of the sight here. Foxy can do nothing except peek and get destroyed by Geo as TSM find their second round.
The delay works out upstairs for TSM. They back it off from the CCTV side and instead hold on to Laundry as well as Bathroom, or waits there. And it works out so beautifully for them. Oxygen end up walking right into the game plan of TSM. Although they're still able to get the picks that they necessarily need, TSM delays so much time, especially keeping Oxygen away from the tasks that they needed to get done. As we were talking about in the late round there, 50 seconds remaining, but you still have to get not only the main hatch open for kitchen, but as well as Moto hatch open if you want to try and create any sort of effect of going to 2 different areas. So there's just so much still for Oxygen to get done, as well as trying to get these initial picks to actually get into the site, because yes, you've picked off the roamers, but there's still 3 bodies inside of sight with all guns pointed at you, so it's still very difficult to try and get around that. Oxygen simply don't have enough time. They try and throw it at the wall, hope that it sticks, and obviously that is not the case.
So, TSM take control of the lead. This delay tactic, specifically on the second floor, while not necessarily netting them any sort of player advantage, is not netting them any sort of player advantage. It certainly is netting them the overall round advantage, whether it's through time or players, as we saw back in the second round. An extension over here onto the inside of gym and bedroom is now where they're going to round out their full rotation here. See if they can get themselves one more on the board before things start to reset and the options open up for them once more to replay the same sites they've already controlled earlier in this half. Obviously, a lot of an emphasis going down here, possibly even more than we sometimes see from other teams take. Going on to the cash hold here from TSM, as well as a one-wall soft hold onto it as well, going over into cash. So a little bit of a different style where normally you just kind of lock the whole thing up for a player to play inside of and last as long as they can. This one seems like TSM wants to try and actively frag out against the push a little bit, which is in line with what we've been seeing throughout the rest of this half so far from TSM also.
Taking the fight to them seeming to be the name of the game here for TSM, or at least for Merc. We've seen him in a lot of forward positions. so far inside of this game, and obviously went up with one big round thus far, but silent through the other two. Oxygen, speaking of silence, definitely not the case when it comes to what's going on near kitchen right now. Making some different angles to be able to rotate around this mid floor here, making their job a little bit easier in transition. Be holding onto this for the time being as they try and get some more info as to what goes on upstairs. And they need this because of laxing. The skeleton key can be so influential if used properly with these vertical angles that he's able to try and secure, especially for positions like Chala's here behind the mattress. A metal sheet makes it to where you can't shoot through that, so a deployable shield safe, all except for below. So we'll have to see what TSM can possibly get done with this. Although Oxygen not able to get much traction when it comes to that skeleton key usage, and it looks like they're starting to go other places.
Half the round remaining here, but a big pickup finally going to be found as we reach that point. Kino walks right up and catches Bolo, completely unaware of the situation. Down he will go. No OXG will maintain an advantage, but that's a kill found in the basement.
Oh no, Wax!
Chala with the instant reply to that message there, as there is an opening made by the Buck on Laxing there. However, it is swiftly shut down due to some good adjustments coming in from TSM. Fox 8 trades that back out, though, so Oxygen are back in control, if at least in small part. Kino, now though, moving forward, finds himself the second kill on the round. That brings it down to a 4v2. Only Chala and Geo left to try and control the situation for TSM, but only 40 seconds left as well, so still workable to some extent. Let's see if they can get it done, though, as they are very quickly running out of room to play with. And there you go. Fox and Kino clean it up, and there's another round on the board for OXG.
Oxygen just taking their time there. They have the man advantage as well as just the positioning overall. TSM, well, honestly, dwindling in numbers, and obviously the map control also going along with it. At one point in time, both of the remaining members sticking inside of Stash because there really wasn't any other place to go. Oxygen had simply constricted everything, and really the safe harbor was just very lacking. So TSM ends up dropping that round after some initial picks go the way of Oxygen, although Chala making sure to put Laxing on blast inside of that round, but obviously that one is going to fall on deaf ears as it didn't mean too much to the overarching story. We're now on to round 5 here as TSM will be changing things up. They do not want to go back to Gem Master, and can you necessarily blame them? Instead, they go to CCTV, and they're still going to be bringing the regular cast of characters that you would expect. Obviously, the standout here being the Goyo, and I make sure to double up on those shields as much as possible. And obviously, with Charlie here, that's going to mean even another shield. So plenty of positions for these defensive members to play around.
So for TSM, trying to round themselves out here as we get towards the end of the half with a solid 2-round pickup, or at least in minimum terms, try to negotiate for that 3-3. OXG finally coming back in on that last round there with a winning strategy on the attack. And I'll see if that will be able to be successfully repeated, mainly due to the great entry work coming in there from Kino, but other members of the team stepping up to push themselves forward when it mattered as well to allow OXG to finally negotiate a second attacking round and overall keep things very even as far as this game is concerned. It is Clubhouse, so we would generally expect the defense to be ahead by a tad, based on my own history watching this map and what we've seen plenty of times out of it, but still too early to tell if what we're seeing is a leading indication for either of these teams yet, as they're still very much adapting around each other, as we just saw in the last round for OXG. So let's see what's going to happen in the opening minute or so of this round, as that's been incredibly important so far.
Oxygen will begin the regular tasks while Fox 8 torching over the CCTV wall now, as well as Laxing starting to look as to what's going on in Logi in the master side of the building. But actually, pretty fun fact about Clubhouse here inside of the NAL. Last stage, we actually only had 2 plays on Clubhouse. Yes, only 2 plays inside of North America, which is something that we really never see when it comes to this map. And we've had 2 plays on the new Clubhouse today. So we've already tied stage 2 for how many Clubhouses we've had. And, well, Kino, unluckily enough, he is actually going to be slain as the Chief will take him down.
As OXG gets slowed down a little bit here due to the loss of the initial player coming from their side, not TSM's. OXG is going to potentially continue to play in the same fashion to try and look for the makeup kill to try and bring things back down to a 4v4. Fox A running right past Achieve, though, over by the blue window. Fox A, however, got a ping from a drone, knows that player's there now, so good pre-setups on the drones coming out from OXG, just possibly save Fox A's life. Achieve seems to be aware that he was spotted out as well, so he quickly falls back down blue and keeps that position at the bottom of those stairs in the basement, while the rest of the team waits a little bit closer to the site.
Oh, this is going to be a difficult round going forward for OXG here. Look at the drone economy right now for Oxygen. Laxing's drone more than likely on flank. Vertical, I believe, just lost the drone that he's on. So we're down to 2 drones here with 1:05 remaining. Every single TSM member still alive here. Unless something goes very horribly wrong, this is indeed looking like a TSM round. They just have so much utility still to play with, but doesn't mean that Oxygen can't get something done. We'll have Fox adjust back across after they've already gotten this pop. So he'll have a nice angle here to work off of. He's able to torch himself earlier on. Frag grenade in. It's actually going to end up getting, I believe, a deployable shield over here, but just some little damage dealt as well. Actually, no deployable shield going to be in that position this time around. As actually, I believe they have it downstairs, but that's neither here nor there. Oxygen are doing their best to try and battle through these defenses of TSM, and they are standing tall right now with 30 seconds remaining. No oversteps inside of the angles just yet. Merc's going to take a little bit of heat here from the AK-12, but he knows to play it out slow. Oh, what a shot onto vertical. Bolo will get one of his own as well, but not before Fox is able to trade it back out. Merc makes the stance, and Geo will send it home as TSM claim round 5.
That drone drain constantly working itself in against the OXG members. We could see that coming out towards the end of the round. They still had a couple presets placed. I don't know if that accounted for both of their remaining drones, but in the event that it did, which there could be a case made for that, you could see it as they completely were stagnated outside of construction, hoping for something to be given away, but instead it was the defense gathering all the intel at that point in time, and Merc used it to get a pixel-perfect headshot yet again against the first player trying to move in, and eventually opens up the floodgates for the rest of his teammates to shut down the rest of that play as well. So great work once more from TSM, keeping enough pressure against the OXG push to kind of keep them at the gates and overall put them into that situation where they would run out of time, but also a great job of not overextending it and giving over the kills to OXG that we had seen happen in previous rounds also.
I think this is our time to kind of call your guys' attention over to Oxygen side of the scoreboard here. And I just want to remind you that Kino was the first one picked inside of that last round. So simple math would tell you that, well, they lost Kino, and now they really don't have an entry in the sense of, hey, I'm going to go and claim space. And that's where Oxygen started running into trouble. They didn't want to lose a lot of these bodies because they matter. That's the one thing about Rainbow Six that's very, very difficult, is that, you know, you might lose one person. You're like, oh, yeah, we can try and equal this out. But if you tend to lose, like, even 1 or 2 more people, the round is just over, especially if you don't have certain tasks done. It's a requirement to have these certain things. So Oxygen try and play it slowly and make sure not to overstep. And in that, you know, security, or what they thought was security, they ended up losing all of their drones in the process because they were simply trying to measure twice and cut once. But TSM were more willing to just simply get rid of the drones and sit on their hands and force Oxygen into that really bad situation. So that's really done well from TSM to work that early pick and then just let Oxygen sit on it and bleed, because there was nothing else going on there for OXG.
For my own personal observations, I do think Oxygen is a little bit more of a flashier team on defense, a bit more of a successful one as well. I don't know if the stats agree with that.
I think they actually do. I'll look it up for you.
Yeah. I might be dead wrong on this, but assuming I am correct, we'll hopefully get a little bit of a rebound from OXG if we get past this round. Still have 1 round on the attack, so we're obviously not at the end of days yet either. And was I right or wrong?
You're actually wrong, my friend. 52.2% on offense and 43.8% on defense.
I'm allowed to have opinions at the end of the day, though, so so I still feel that their defenses...
It's only like half of our job. It's only like half, you know?
I still feel their defenses are a little bit more consistent, personally, even though that's literally not the truth, but... I'm just going to end this point. But either way, I have personally greater hopes of them going off to the second half. That's all that's really needs to be said
I'm
right
taking
now.
the soapbox from you right now. I'm just going to rip it out from under your feet.
Just take it. Just stop letting... Just listen, you do all the color. I'll just yell when fun stuff happens.
Hey, you know what? We can make that happen, my friend.
That's the biggest mistake we're making here.
we can make that happen, my friend. Hey, see? There you go. Exciting stuff happens on screen, and John yells. Yaga's going to go down inside a freezer. He's going to be able to get picked back up, though. He still has case control, and the other thing that Oxygen has going well for them right now, that's a very positive boon, is that Laxing has broken down a bunch of these walls downstairs through the hallway into Armory. So Armory is basically impossible to play right now if you're a TSM member. They have to try and find some other means to try and solve this equation. So what's that going to be? Well, first things first, Achieve's going to reposition inside inside of Dirt. Now, this is an extremely important position because he's more than likely going to play spoils for this plant. You can see TSM also getting ready for this hatch drop. Achieved also trying to make sure to prevent anyone from coming into Dirt as well. They know they have Foxe, so he can always torch in last second here. But Oxygen might be going for something else instead, but no, they're actually going to slip in the back. It'll just be from main here. Possible kill coming in here from Bolo. He'll stop the plant. Vertical makes his way up the hallway. Yog will actually secure the plant, though. Bolo with 2, Laxian with 1, and Yog will send it all the way home for the tie here on the first half as Oxygen throw TSM for a loop with the pseudo audible coming from main stairs.
And I think right there you can really see the difference in intel, or more than anything, OXG has everything they need that time. They're not guessing about where they're potentially going to find targets out on the inside of Cash and CCTV like we saw at the end of round number 5. They absolutely know with 100% certainty where every single member of TSM is positioned going into that. And the only ones that they don't really catch are the ones that were a bit more mobile and caused them problems on the inside of that site. So much cleaner job by OXG because they have that, and because their drone count doesn't get completely drained like it did in the last round there. So they're able to leverage a much more successful attack. That does end the half, obviously, so it's going to leave things at 3-3. A nice note, though, to pin things into for OXG as they end that half. And now we get to see if I was theoretically correct, even though statistically wrong, and if we get a little bit of a stronger performance out of OXG in the second half to try and close things out.
Well, there's a lot of theories about a lot of things, so theory is just a smart word for like, hey, I kind of think that I have an idea.
Listen, if OXG wins, that means they won more defending rounds than attacking rounds, so you're not gonna hear the end of it.
oh, it's on me now. This is
yeah.
You know what? That's fair enough. That's fair enough. You can tell me tomorrow.
I can't yell at stats. They don't have feelings. So.
well, maybe I don't have feelings.
You have feelings, so I can yell at you.
You're right. I do have feelings. I do have feelings. Sadly. Probably make life a lot easier if I didn't, but it's fine.
Well, for some of us, that would be true. As we move into the 7th round, though, it's time to see which of these two teams can truly carve a path forward. No surprise, we're going to go right back into the basement hole that is the kind of rock-solid site a lot of teams fall back on between that and Cash, and even Cash is starting to lose that, in my opinion, nowadays. But either way, for OXG, they are continuing to play into this basement as their starter. Doesn't mean that they're going to lock themselves in it, though, and play the usual 5-man bunker. We've got a lot of out-and-about action for their roam game. Foxe over here towards Billiards, another one roaming around the main staircase, and I believe we might have 1 or 2 more out on the prowl as well, and indeed we do. So a lot of things for TSM to deal with, and looking at our silhouettes, they're moving quite a bit too, so it's not going to be the easiest job in the world for TSM to track these players down.
Definitely going to be difficult to try and lock up this Oxygen roam, but we'll see how desperate they are to stick to it. See a lot of different facets of this right now. Saw 2 people over towards main stairs. Yaga also all of a sudden spawning inside of stock. I think he's got his hatch pop as well here, so he does have an escape route, but oh no, Bolo from all the way downtown will remove Yog's head through 2 separate walls off a drone intel. Masterfully done from TSM, but a refrag will come through for Oxygen. They'll be able to claim a life of their own with a nitro cell onto Achieved.
OXG, after the initial action in the first minute of the round, they're going to fall back onto the site entirely and play the entire 4-man setup on the inside of it. So resorting to the bunker now that things on the roam have kind of worked and kind of failed, since they're still at even terms overall. That's a good enough outcome for them to be able to go back to the site. However, so now they await for the opening of the hatches from TSM, try to counterplay that as much as they possibly can. And then aside from that, wait for the eventual execute, which, as you can see, all those little drones buzzing around TSM are very much on the path to try to figure out exactly what that setup from Oxygen looks like in the site now.
Hatch work still going on here for TSM. Slow going into this last minute here after we had these 2 initial frags. Oxygen been able to find some safe space down low here, but that's not going to stop TSM from ripping open the top of this can and seeing what they can possibly find inside of Armory. But we already know the answer to that. This story has already been played out for us, and it's going to be nothing. Some solid positioning here from OXG that's more towards boxes than anything. They'll be able to take up AK as well as dummies box for the time being. So we'll have to see what TSM want to do to try and solve this problem. because now deal with these two back positions, but looks like they might be sending a TSM member right into blue. It could be Geo to try and play spoils to this. He'll walk right into a goo mine. Stun's now starting to come out. Inside of a Banshee as well. We're waiting on this Legion to swing. Can Geo find him? No, Kino's gonna get it instead. They'll be able to stop the plant as well, and it doesn't look like there's gonna be anything to do here for TSM. Merc trying to stick it out. He'll step out and claim one, but not before Vertical kills Merc before he can even get the frag. Oxygen able to get things done on defense, and Blue looking a lot smarter than his pants originally looked.
All right, it's only one round, so...
Well, I'm just, you know, I mean, come on.
I appreciate it, though.
By the way, your pants look nice. I want you to know that. You know, I can't necessarily see your pants. You could be naked from the waist down,
I think you'd feel differently if you knew what pants I was wearing. But we're gonna just leave the topic there.
Is it plaid? Is it plaid pants?
No, it's not.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
So we'll
I don't want to know now. I really don't.
That's why we're not saying it. But yeah, as we go back into the round, there is a possibility that we might rehost here, but like they just said, we don't know until the round starts. So this probably will get unpaused in a second, assuming it's not a tactical pause from one of the two teams, although that wouldn't be completely out of the script at this point either. TSM taking a pretty definitive loss, I would say, on that first run. Oh, we are going to force the reconnect now, it looks like. So that player's just going to hop back in real quick, and hopefully shouldn't be too much of an issue to continue on just as we were. But yeah, aside from that, is going to be a tech pause, considering that that player jumped out, and we will get Yogg reconnected as soon as possible and see if OXG can continue to control things here on the defense.
I was going to say, you want the good or the bad news? The good news is that we haven't had a tech delay yet inside of this game.
Oh,
the bad news
that's a jinx. The bad news is that Stokes just jinxed it by saying the good news.
Is that it happened in round 7. That's the bad news. And that's still okay.
That could be good news for some people, depending on what your thoughts on the number 7 are. But
yeah, I mean, hey man, if you're a Bungie employee, you're probably pretty happy about the number 7. You know, it just depends.
Yeah, yeah. We were playing like Destiny 2 comp. It'd be a good omen right now, but I don't think we're playing that. So
is this your Destiny 2 comp? Is there like a very serious thing?
Do my eyes deceive me?
But either way, though, this game has actually been pretty interesting between these two thus far. And speaking of this game, I think we're back in, but I'll continue the thought at a minimum here. Oxygen obviously switching things up, going to their defensive side. I really, really like how they played out that round there. They knew that TSM didn't necessarily have a chance of getting an armory offense to go off in the way that they wanted to. So instead, they just played for the rotation for TSM to try and claim some space on the backside of the site. And that's really why Oxygen were able to take control like that. TSM were stuck with a 1-point assault, and past that, there's not really much they can do outside of try and combat the utility being tossed at them, but just too much there, and the artillery definitely struck at the right moment. So difficult for TSM to try and claim that one, but we're into round 8 now. Well, they'll be presented yet another opportunity to shore this up.
Is going to be over here inside of CCTV and Cash for their defense, as they'll look to try and pull off, I believe, a mainly horizontal hold here. Didn't get to see much towards Barstock, so unsure if they're going to be doing the same hold that we saw coming out from TSM towards the end, specifically of the half there. But it's not looking like it. It's looking like much more the sort of meta hold we've been seeing most teams use over the past couple of months, not the one that involved the stock area down below that we've been starting to see more and more teams drift towards. So TSM, though, will have a very straightforward process of opening things up, though, as a result of that. The early focus here on the balcony now shouldn't be too much of a problem, considering they've got the Maverick, which can more than likely just deal with either the Cade or Okay. Not sure where that... Oh, wow. Vert apparently gets a pixel angle.
Tap him randomly through the door?
Possibly?
Vert, please stand up. I want to see the door is sealed. Can we see
it's
the
open,
door is sealed?
I think it's open.
Check. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. But either way, though, that's either way a beautiful shot from Raptors.
I think Merc like shoulder peaked or something, and that's how he got hit him.
Oh yeah, the door's definitely pops, and it's just unfortunate for Merc. But at least he got the wall open first, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. Because without that done, that was going to be very, very rough for TSM to try and get anything done here. They also brought Flores along for the ride, and if you guys don't know, he's got some explosive drones here. The Rotero drones. Possibly try and get rid of some utility pieces, so that could have been something to try and assist them if Merc did go down earlier, at least with the wall. But now we'll be able to use those on more deployable shields and things along those lines that the Oxygen members are trying to use to defend themselves from this execute. Still plenty of time here for TSM to work this map, but obviously still going to be down Merc, so do not want to try and overstep here and lose yet another body.
Achieve still waiting for the opportunity to work his way forward. Was waiting for Chala to get into a position as well to support him, I think. So that was the cause of the delay. But anyway, we're starting to see the action come together here now for TSM. Now they've got players in position. They've taken a few moments away from that action to go back on their drones and see what the remaining setup from OXG looks like. I say remaining, but they've had all 5 players alive this whole time. So what the original setup looks like. And now they will be forced to move in more out of a necessity rather than something they feel comfortable doing at this point. And we're getting down to the bottom of the round here. 40 seconds remaining. Still quite a bit of reconstruction to be done. And they do have the utility to do it, both in soft and hard destruction. Chala using the last, or trying, I think, to use the last of his breaches right there, but put it back down again after initially getting tricked out and dodging the trick.
No.
So I think it just got possibly tricked again, though. Yeah, based on the audio. So might be bad news for TSM if that is the case, and regardless, they're out of time anyway. 20 seconds remain. They need to push themselves forward into the site now. It's going just how you predict it would, and it's so unfortunate. An outright shutdown from OXG as they hold it back in the site yet again and pick up their second round in a row here on the defense.
Well, the shoe is really on the other foot here, isn't it? It looks exactly like what we saw, what TSM was doing to Oxygen. There's a nice early pick here, and hey, we're going to sit inside a site and see exactly how you want to try and work this map. I really like how OXG was holding on to Master side for as long as they could before TSM started pouring in there. There was just a lot of really solid stuff going on. There was just so many things for TSM to still try and achieve, especially inside of construction when they got into it. When Achieved actually walked in there, he still has to worry about getting the wall open, the angle down low. He's got a skeleton key the wall to make sure that they can try and save it from the impact. And there's just so many things that he still had to get done. And we're talking about it at like the 35-second mark. He's still trying to move drones in down low to see if they possibly have to worry about somebody inside of stage. It's going to end up getting rid of this utility, but it still happens inside of this site like it would normally, just with a simple impact from Omai over the wall. So just very difficult for TSM to try and get anything done inside of that round. And we see them funnel right into construction as well as CCTV window and lose all of those lives to OXG members.
A good way to think about this type of situation, the way that actually rounds in both halves have been playing out so far, is to think about a round in Siege like a checklist. But the important thing is that checklist is slowly burning from the top down. So you have to check off as many things as possible, but if you take too long to do so and try to check off something, you're going to burn your hand and die. So, yeah. That's a good way to kind of describe the things that have been going down right now. Is the team that's on the attacking side is trying to check off burning check marks way too often here and losing their hand as a result of it.
Yeah, it's like when you get ahead of yourself in chess, right? And you make some moves like earlier on with some pawns that you weren't really thinking about, and you get later and you're like, oh, I really needed these squares. Like, I really needed this. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, if, hindsight's 20/20. You could go back and be like, oh, we could have just done this, but that's how the game goes, man. That's how the cookie crumbles. You lose one of those very key pieces earlier, and all of a sudden that round's just gone by the wayside. There's really nothing more you can do about it, and that's just simply how the game plays out. Very unfortunate for TSM inside of that one, but they still have opportunities here, folks. We say it all the time here, but it's still a thing, especially for TSM. I mean, remember, this roster just came back together after that Mexico run where we saw Poge step in place of Merc, and Merc's been having a pretty stellar game today, but I'll be honest with you guys. If you look at his score, it looks pretty nice, right? He's tied up with Bolo. He's 6-6-2. Bolo's 6-6-1, but Merc got 4 kills inside of round 2, I do believe. So he really hasn't been having an impact across the rest of the game, and it's very, very sad because that's honestly what we expect out of him, and we're just not seeing the same results.
So let's see if both him and the rest of TSM can improve their fates here, as like I said, we are coming down to the wire a bit. OXG only 2 rounds left here, already halfway there in terms of what they've already gained and what they still need to gain on this half to try and claim victory in the first matchup of the stage and hopefully put OXG back into decent control over this league in general, and hopefully put them even closer to a qualification for SI going into 2022. Not that they necessarily need the extra points. They're still #1 in the North American side of things for trying to qualify over here, so they're still looking pretty good in that respect compared to the rest of the region. Remember, it's a global leaderboard that qualifies you, not a regional one as far as I understand, so still need to try and keep up with all the other regions as well. As we continue to broil down the time here, already about 45 seconds into the round. At the moment, just have TSM making their initial entries over here towards security as well as garage. Not looking like they're going to venture much beyond that, though, as splitting up has been the easiest way for teams on the attack to find themselves losing the opening pick, it seems.
Yes, indeed. And I pulled those up really quickly just to see the standings. Oxygen actually have 690 points. So they
they're like
literally
number
need to
6
breathe.
overall.
Yeah, they legitimately need to like breathe on some SI points and they're in. That's really it. So Oxygen just need a top 4 finish inside of this stage, and they are guaranteed here, as well as Vert guaranteed a frag. Bolo ends up hopping CCTV window, but unbeknownst to him, Vert's playing the stacks inside of construction. He'll be able to claim that life. TSM once again worse for wear going into the round half here. Gonna have to try and see what they can do with this construction setup, but there's a lot of different avenues that Oxygen are currently controlling with this. A deployable shield inside of Logi especially going to be difficult to try and get rid of. You can see all of the utility dedicated on this door here from OXG, burning up all of the pieces here from TSM. Both grenades out here from Merc, as well as some more of those Rotero drones going in, trying to get some pressure on that wall. Frag grenade out. Can Chi possibly get the frag? He'll be able to take down Yogg, at least equalize here, going in the last minute.
So once again, an even 4v4 after TSM is finally able to deal with some of the pressure off of the site and bring it back to mainly just the players in the immediate area of the 2 bomb sites to try and play out. For TSM, they've already begun to investigate in that area. They've still got a healthy amount of drones to see what the site itself looks like. Also, the one getting wasted away at the window. They've got 7 more to potentially bring out at some point in the round. Meanwhile, for OXG, they only have the site control itself to play off of, meaning things are going to get very claustrophobic very quickly if they lose the opening pick of whatever the next fight is going to be. And it should be very soon, with only 18 seconds remaining on the clock. One of these 2 teams needs to make a move, and more than likely, it's going to be TSM. Never mind, actually. It's going to be Foxay trying to go for a swing. Quickly responded to, though, by 3 pickups from OXG, leaving it all on Merc here as he hops in with the final 5 seconds remaining on the clock. He's going to try to hunt out the last 2 players, but they are not giving him anything. And when they finally do, it's very one-sided. OXG take a 3rd round here and are now 1 away from closing out on the defense.
Oxygen giving TSM no quarter there at all. TSM ended up getting eliminated. Foxay, a little bit of an overstep there for just a split second, but ended up popping off the round for OXG instead as a sea of blue flushed out the kill feed. TSM just losing so many bodies it'll make your head spin, and now down 3 rounds. Oxygen so far perfect on their defensive half, and they'll be headed to Church Arsenal after that previous defense. TSM just not able to muster anything. They go for this clear over inside of Cash, but mostly for construction, obviously, throwing everything in the kitchen sink at construction door, but they simply can't dislodge any of the OXG members from inside of construction. They tried to get some early presence on the master balcony, but that was already being watched, at least the avenue that they tried to use to get there, and that's where that early pick comes in from Oxygen, and past that, TSM really can't get too much done. Yeah, they're able to equalize with Foxay, but they still have to complete the rest of the, execute, and it's a 4-on-4, so just very difficult for them to try and squeak in there at the last second given the circumstances.
Well, let's chuckle a bit as we did have a cap can potentially teased by OXG before it was 6 picked over to Malusi. Wouldn't have necessarily opposed the cap can pick. A large issue right now is TSM's time management or just inability to clear out more extended positions and then use the time remaining. And obviously a cap can would have been a great way to make sure TSM second guesses every single doorway they go through at a minimum before pushing their way in, and at best obviously drain that 40 to 50 HP every time they don't check that. So either way though, not going to end up getting that. We'll end up with the Malusi, much more normal pick, what we've tended to see inside of it, but cannot necessarily out of the range either for both of these teams. So let's see if OXG can get this thing shut down in a straight 4-round burst from their 3rd, or if TSM will finally have at least a bit of a response on this attacking side.
Yeah, since the Mexico Major, I do not make fun of a single operator anymore, because I think there was only like one operator across the entirety of the lineup that wasn't played. Every defensive operator was played at Mexico, by the way. Every single one of them. So, pretty interesting stuff.
Even attackers, for the most part, like, seeing their day, like, some of them definitely still very underpicked, but I think we got most, if not all of them, picked, like, not just once or twice, a couple times, I think, throughout SI, maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions there. But
it was all but one of them. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, because I did this personally while I was just looking at the list one day. But either way, though, we're about a minute in here now, folks, and things have been pretty slow moving around the map. Oxygen have fully set up what they want to do with this roam. Laxing going to be currently inside of Waits. He's got hatch open here for Billiards, but his angle might already be cut off here, or his escape route might be cut off from this angle, rather, inside of Strip. I don't know if he's necessarily aware about it just yet. The drone comes out. They knew that he was there. Nitro Cell out as well. Laxing simply just going to let it wait and burn on that window instead of blowing it up initially. Obviously, going to be holding Achieve back there for just a split second, but he's wasted even more time and gotten the adjustment that he was looking for and trying to secure here. And be able to get rid of yet another drone, but now he's been Jackal tracked. He'll be able to pop the head of Achieve, though, and this is where things start to become a problem here. As Laxing starting to lock things up here inside of Waits, and oh no, the Jackal's starting to push forward as well. The SMG-11 can't get it done, but wow, so much damage to Geo in the process, and I mean, softening up those bodies for later on.
Yeah, even beyond this, the tick damage, right, on a Geo there, bringing him down to right around 25 HP, still has the kill on Achieve, still has the minute now that was, I would argue, that was wasted trying to deal with him, and still no hatch open on the inside of Kitchen as of yet, because Oxygen's still here, as well as quite a few other factors that need to be dealt with as well. Foxy knows he's been spotted out by a drone, so he's not really going to be too bothered by the run-out penalty there. Flash will go into his face, but he's got a Nitro Cell, tries to get aggressive against Chala, but that will fail. TSM will pick one up on their own here. And with that, on top of the other kill that was found against Laxing, finally it's going to be TSM with some control over the situation as they bring it down to a 4v3. But with now less than 30 seconds left, is that going to be translatable into a win? We're certainly going to find out.
Well, my friend, I feel as though that is not going to be the case. It's 20 seconds that remain. 4 versus 3 here.
Oh, he can't even open this right now.
Obviously up on the defensive half here. Only need one round to try and secure this, and they're able to get 2 big frags. Geo trying to work his way in. Bikino's got the flank. He'll be able to take him down. Last remaining member, the sole member inside of Blue, will lose his life as well for TSM as Oxygen claim their very first map here inside of the NAL for Stage 3.
What did I say, Stokes? Better defensive team, clearly.
Dude, I
Screw
told
the
you, your pants were looking smart.
The stats are liars. They're there to trick you and do nothing else. They're useless.
Dude, you know, it's just fake stats. We got to get some real stats in here. That's what we got to do. You know what I mean?
But yeah, OXG
7-3, man. A 7-3 for OXG. What a game.
And that's a great rebound too, right? Starting, you know, on the bottom side of a 3-3 half, having to come back a little bit in order to make that happen. Excellent recovery from them to make the second half on the defensive side so strong. Some excellent delay capability coming out on that defensive half to facilitate, such a one-sided half there, and overall allow for OXG domination to come out, especially in the early round there for those final 4 rounds they needed to play out to get the win.
Yeah, it was unbelievably clean for Oxygen from that defensive perspective. Their offense, as you were talking about, it felt very equal in between them and TSM. Like, it could have gone either way, but as soon as we switched sides, it seemed like a flick of a switch and TSM was just off the reservation. They really weren't doing too much, nobody really home, and Oxygen just running away from it, or running away with it, rather, in every sense of the term. I mean, a lot of those gunfights, some of these, you know, extended roams that TSM just simply were not able to handle and just wasted way too much time. It just, there's a laundry list of things. But TSM, I honestly do feel as though they still have a lot of really good things going on with this roster, so I'm excited to see what they're able to do with the rest of Stage 3.
Regardless, though, a possible bad omen now for TSM, considering the Mexico performance, and now a dropping of their first game against OXG, and obviously things continuing to look brighter for the OXG roster, looking to rebound once again and find something similar for their Stage 1 performance. That closes out the 3rd game of the day. We'll have the analysts ready to break down this game and get us ready for our final one, but that'll be right after this break.